Thank you everyone for coming today to help us celebrate our special 10th anniversary here at Trillium. We have a few people who would like to say a few words. But first, I would like to recognize some extra special guests, some of whom will be speaking. Senator Jeremy McPike, Delegate Richard Anderson, Supervisor Ruth Anderson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is such an honor and a privilege to be here to say hello and to congratulate Trillium on 10 amazing years. What a journey. I know from Ann and Tracy and Cynthia to have an idea and get together and start to collaborate to make this happen and to allow a venue and a forum for all of you to help to share stories and to connect on very real things that impacts you on a daily basis. And it's something that means personally, my family's been, suffered and experienced mental health, and it impacts all families. And we need to be brave to understand and treat it like we treat our hearts. We need to break down the stigma to make sure that we treat our minds or mental health equally across the board and have resources like Trillium out there to help all community members, to collaborate as peers, to be able to talk to those who have struggled, to share those stories and connect with one another as friends. And you guys have just done an amazing job of that day in and day out. My last visit had so many important personal stories, and today I wanted to take an opportunity to present a Senate resolution commending Trillium for 10 years of service to the community. And it was passed by the Senate this February of 2017 and agreed to by the House of Delegates. So also on behalf of Delegate Anderson, thank you for your support for this as well. But over the 10 years, well over 50,000 visits on a pathway to wellness and recovery, and peer support and so many other important things. It means so much to all of you who are here today, but also those who have yet to come. And I think that's what's so important about the work that you're doing, all the staff that's here today, all the good work that you do, the board of directors, and thank you so much. So Cynthia and the president, if you'd come over and take this resolution.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. What a great day. This is a special occasion in the life of the Trillium Drop-In Center to honor all those who have operated the facility and those who have passed through it. And as Senator McPike said, those who will use these services, those who will be consumers. You know, I'm sort of a latecomer to the great service that Trillium provides. It was after our legislative session that Cynthia got in touch with me. She asked me to come down here, and right away we were able to come down here and spend some time. And so I'm looking around the audience and I'm seeing a lot of faces that I know now simply because I've been able to come over here a half dozen times, whether it is a scheduled visit or when Cynthia's gone home, I can drop by here at 8 o'clock and I'm welcomed in. So this is such a welcoming home, a gathering place for so many people. And it's a privilege to be here and to speak for those in the 51st House District and say congratulations to Trillium Drop-In Center for a great 10 years of service to the greater Prince William community. God bless all of you.
Thank you for inviting me today. I am here to learn today. I am on the Board of Supervisors. I've been in office for about 20 months or so. And John Jenkins, of course, is a colleague, and he is the supervisor for this area. So he could not be here today. So just pretend I'm John Jenkins, and I'm going to bring you a proclamation from the Prince William Board of County Supervisors. Like I say, I'm here to learn, but I want you to know that Donnie is our neighbor. So, and he's very happy here. That says a lot to me. If you would, now, this is kind of a long proclamation, but I know that John would relish every word of this proclamation. So I am going to read it. It has a lot of wonderful history in it. Whereas the Prince William Drop-In Center was organized in 2007 by Ann Gertler, Cynthia Dudley, and Tracy Jones to assist people living with serious mental illness in Woodbridge, Virginia, and whereas in April 2008 more space was needed and Prince William Drop-In Center Incorporated expanded into the adjacent property, in May 2008 Prince William Drop-In Center Incorporated changed their name to Trillium Drop-In Center. And whereas in November 2015, Trillium began offering peer support services to Prince William County's newly created Crisis Assessment Center, and whereas by December 2016, Trillium had over 9 staff members become certified peer recovery specialists through the Virginia Certification Board. And whereas Trillium has been awarded the Agnes Colgan Award from the Prince William Chamber, both Trillium and its executive director have been recipients of the MHAE Voice of Recovery Award, and whereas Trillium has helped over 3,000 individuals living with mental illness and had over 100,000 visits, Trillium is the only mental health center of its kind in Virginia. Trillium promotes mental health recovery and encourages self-determination, resulting in fewer hospitalizations, less isolation, and alienation. Trillium improves the lives of people living with mental illness. Trillium advocates locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally for mental health recovery, having been honored to speak at the United Nations. And whereas Trillium Drop-In Center Incorporated will celebrate its 10th anniversary on September 23rd, 2017. Now therefore be it resolved that by the authority vested in me as the Neabsco Magisterial District Supervisor, and on behalf of the Prince William Board of County Supervisors, I hereby commend Trillium Drop-In Center on the occasion of their 10th anniversary and express the board's best wishes for the future. And that is signed by Supervisor John Jenkins. That's pretty impressive. Spoke at the United Nations. Wow. Thank you for the invitation.
Most of you guys know that Trillium has had a fantastic beginning. Ann started a support group, Ann, 20 years ago now. And Tracy and I both started going to that group. And there was some guy named Phil Ross who newly formed NAMI Prince William back then that told us about some peer programming monies that were available. The three of us had no idea how to write a grant, but we got together and went to work. Well, of course, when she heard about the money, Ann immediately knew that we needed a drop-in center. Did you know? Do you remember that? She was like, oh, we have to have a, huh? You immediately knew we had to have a drop-in center in Prince William County. So we sat down to write the grant, and somehow the universe began to give us exactly what we needed. There was a gentleman who was also associated with NAMI Prince William named Bob Simon, who offered his office for us to use to write the grant. Now, Bob Simon unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago, but I hope he can hear us now. And if he can, I hope he knows how blessed we are to be having this celebration today. And I hope he also knows how much we appreciate his assistance, both with the use of his office way back then, and some other behind-the-scenes support that I myself recently found out about 10 years later. So thank you, Bob. So we were in Bob's office and we were talking about the budget and needed to consult with an accountant. We didn't really know any accountants back then, and somehow the universe just stepped up once again. the next evening, Phil had received a phone call from an accountant who said, "I'd like to help with NAMI Prince William." And Phil told the lady, "Do you remember Phil?" Phil mentioned that there was another group who very much needed some help. And so we were rolling. 5 months after we heard about the money, we had the door open to Prince William Drop-In Center. So in our first few weeks, we had about 10 employees, I think 10 or 12 employees. And when we opened our doors, it kind of felt like I had to remind everybody, if you build it, they will come, right? So we had to kind of be a little patient. Sharon remembers. It was a little slow right at the beginning. And we were wondering what we were ever going to do with this place. But then within a few short months, we knew we had to expand. So we got our van, and we called the neighbor next door. I think it was Phil, myself, and Deborah, who used to work for us, found out who the landlord was on the second side. And Ann called him up, and she said, "We need to rent that side next door." And he said, I'd love to rent it to you. Those people that are in there right now aren't paying any rent." So I think it was about 4 months later we had that open after we got a second grant. So we opened in September. I guess it was about 10 months. We had the second side open. So we knew we had to expand, and we also knew we had to change our name because we were known as Prince William Drop-In Center, but everybody thought we were a government organization. And there was also a nonprofit near PRTC that was also called the Prince William Drop-In Center. And so it was creating a lot of confusion. Even though we had the legal right to the name, they still used it. So we knew we had to change the name to Trillium. So in hindsight, it seemed pretty easy and seamless. I think everybody knows that Trillium is a wild flower with 3 petals. And it was Ann, Tracy, and myself that started the center years ago. And we thought it was appropriate to name it Trillium for the 3 petals of the 3 founders. So it's been 10 glorious years. I know I'm skipping over an awful lot, but I want to get to the fun part for me. It's been 10 glorious years. Today marks the very day that we opened. And some of us are still here 10 years later. Sharon. Yeah. So every single day I feel like one of the luckiest girls in the world. And still, every single day, I feel blessed and get to see signs of miracles in the people that visit, which is some of you, and that work for Trillium, which is the other people.
I have recently been bestowed the wonderful honor to be the president of the board of directors for Trillium. Today, I'm not going to keep you because I see there's more food to be eaten here. But I did want to talk to you about one little thing called hope. I was diagnosed with a really severe case of obsessive compulsive disorder back in 1997 when I was on active duty with the United States Marine Corps. I'd suffered for many years not knowing what was wrong with me, but knowing something was definitely wrong with me. OCD, if you don't know, is one of the most debilitating disorders known to mankind. And by the time I was diagnosed, it had completely shut me down. I was practically non-functioning. I had a wife and 2 little boys. I was finally seen. OCD had convinced me, I didn't know it was OCD then, had convinced me that if I was diagnosed with a mental illness, that the Marine Corps would kick me out, I would lose my livelihood, and I would lose my family. But I told myself, I have no other option. I'll make do, but I have to be helped. So I sought treatment. I was diagnosed with the OCD. The very next day I went to a bookstore. They didn't know a whole lot about OCD back in, before really the 2000s. I read in this book that OCD cannot be cured. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be like this forever. And I was completely demoralized. I asked my psychiatrist about it, and I said, I don't know what to do. And so the very next thing that he said to me basically carried me all the way through. So to let you know, before I tell you what he said to me, I got to a point, I developed a strategy. I got to a point where OCD wasn't adversely affecting my life. I was still having symptoms, but I continued to get better. And I am now to a place where OCD doesn't affect me at all. I've written 2 books about that, and that's pretty much how I got connected with Trillium. We actually share the same accountant, and my accountant said, hey, there's this great place called Trillium. They need a board member. And I said, this is right down my lane. So I came out here. What my doctor told me, he said, the medical professionals debate that word cure all the time. They don't know. He said, but what I want you never to forget is that it is possible to get better. And so that became my beacon of hope. As I went through, and it was horrible, going through treatment and trying to get better, but I just kept reminding myself, your doctor said it was possible to get better. And you told yourself that if that's actually true, you'll do whatever it takes to get better. And so I did. And I stayed with it and stayed on it. Today, I'm an advocate for OCD. I'm on the board of directors for the International OCD Foundation. And I'm here with you. Woo. So thank you and great job, Cynthia, and board and staff and everybody who goes through these wonderful doors of hope. And that's how I think about it. These are doors of hope. So thank you very much. Enjoy yourself today. It's an honor to be here.